Thank you very much for waiting. I'd like to resume the session. The title of Google's approach to security and resilience in the age of AI, we would like to invite CTO Google Threat Intelligence of Google, Mr. Shane Huntley, is here with us for his session. So please, Mr. Huntley.
Hello, konnichiwa. Distinguished guests, member of the press, thank you all for joining us here today. It's a distinct honour and privilege to be here today to discuss a topic of paramount importance in our increasing digital world, cybersecurity in the age of AI. Google is dedicated to protecting billions of people every day, making sure that our products, services and data are protected in what is a remarkably fast-growing threat landscape. As the Chief Technology Officer for Google Threat Intelligence, I have a front row seat to the rapid evolution of the threat landscape and the innovative solutions emerging to combat it. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Cybersecurity is top of mind for many businesses, governments and citizens all around the world today, and particularly here in Japan. It's no surprise that today's environment of rapid technological adoption and increasingly the use of AI, both for good and bad, the stakes are higher than ever. We feel this when we read the headlines in the newspaper that these threats cover all sectors: entertainment, retail, services, high tech, and even education and hospitals. People feel the impact of these cybersecurity attacks. And even more worrying, we're seeing the attacks now shift towards increased threats to critical infrastructure, energy, water, and power. And government services and national security rely much more on cybersecurity to stay safe. In this environment, it's important that we come together to counter these threats. And at Google, we are passionate that we believe that we can create a more secure future that slows the growth in these attacks. And that we believe that we all play a part in securing this ecosystem. Many people in this field are less optimistic, but I'm an optimistic person because I've seen our teams at Google and I've seen what we can do to take the critical first steps to defend over this next decade. So talking about the current threats and what we've observed, Asia Pacific is central to the world and is a center of cyber threats. We have seen a dramatic shift. In 2023, over half of the advanced persistent threats, APT targeting, was focused on the Asia Pacific, with multiple countries, including Japan, being targeted. In 2023, China and North Korea covered over 90% of the APT activity that we observed targeting Japan. We track over 100 APT cluster groups linked to China and 10 groups targeted from North Korea at least. And we see this activity targeting all sectors: malicious email activity in aerospace, civil defense, energy, governments, and from North Korea, a specific focus on cryptocurrency and also many of the other targets as well. So one of the advantages we have at Google and why I'm able to speak on these threats is that we do have this comprehensive global threat visibility. We scan over 50 billion files a year, and we get data from 232 different countries. We have 3 million monthly users of our security services, and we have over 70 antivirus engines. Google's security infrastructure also leverages 20 sandboxes, 30 crowdsourced threat intelligence repositories, and hundreds of thousands of malware rules. Simply put, we have an evolution, a window into the evolving threat that no one else does. One of the most critical threats that we see are zero-day threats. A zero-day threat is a vulnerability or exploit that where there is no patch available, that the attacker knows about the vulnerability, but the defender does not. In 2023, we catalogued and observed 97 zero-day vulnerabilities exploited in the wild against real users. That's over 50% more than 2022 and only 9 short of the high observed in 2021. This level of zero-day attack represents an increasing threat, but also one that we can counter. The threat actors involved come from nations around the world, but also from cybercrime. So as you can see on this graph, we actually see that 41% from espionage, 41% from commercial surveillance vendors. These are companies providing hacking for hire. But this growing threat from cybercrime using zero-day exploits. We've also seen a shift in how these exploits are being used, though, and where they're being exploited. Our Mandiant colleagues have identified that Chinese espionage operations are using botnets of compromised Internet of Things devices. They're taking over the routers and devices around the world in order to disguise their traffic and to attack other people. None of these techniques are unique to China, but they're not new. But when used collectively, this scale of activity is making detection more difficult and is increasing the threat. These edge devices are some of the most targeted devices for exploits, and somewhere where we all need to work together to make sure these devices are secure, patched, and that we build more secure devices in the future to prevent this threat that affects the entire internet. Another growing threat is the combination of this human and cyber world. The North Koreans are actually getting their people hired as remote IT workers in companies around the world. There's been 60 identified people that have done this, and we call this group UNC 5267. So far, we've seen this group primarily focused on financial gain, but they also are in positions of trust and have this long-term access to network and compromises which represent a longer-term threat. The picture on the right is actually a fake profile that has been created here with a fake resume by a North Korean IT worker attempting to get hired by faking their background and education and pretending to be from somewhere else. And on top of the advanced persistent threats, we also see the growth and the capability of other groups, such as the Scattered Spider Group, or UNC 3944, or how I call them, the Advanced Persistent Teenagers. These are a group of English-speaking teenagers, and sometimes a bit older, that they target a wide range of networks, are very successful, and are very good at using social engineering, using their language skills. And their tactics don't use sophisticated cyber activity attacks, but they mostly use commercial remote access tools, but they can be entirely very disruptive, seeking either destruction or ransom, and they're able to cause great damage or great concern to target organizations. And this is a great sign that you need to take all ranges of threats, and it's not just the top end of threats. These threats, cyber threats, are now coming from all angles, including sort of young, motivated people trying to actually form mischief. And I'd have to also talk about the evolution of ransomware. So ransomware has been growing, and the most technology that has really affected these threats from these cybercrime today is cryptocurrency. Before cryptocurrency, there was a handful of industries that were really targeted and kind of worried about cybercrime. But cryptocurrency has made the kind of monetization of insecurity possible. They're able to either disrupt data, steal sensitive data, do extortion. There is just this mechanism where monetization can happen of any insecurity or any cybercrime threat. So instead of, we need to see more innovation here. We need to work out how to tie together not just the cyber side of these things, but also the monetary and the entire ecosystem, because this is a complex ecosystem where we actually have to counter this threat at the source and make it so crime does not pay. So I'm going to shift tack a little bit to talk around more about AI and how I and Google see cybersecurity in this age of AI. Over the last year especially, meeting with government representatives, policymakers, business leaders, researchers, and really everybody, AI has been the main topic in everyone's minds. In this fast evolving threat landscape that I've talked about, how will AI help the attackers? How will AI help the defenders? How will AI intersect with elections, privacy, healthcare, global competition, politics? And really, like, how do we think about this to make sure that the good guys win? Society cannot achieve beneficial AI without strong security, and neither can it achieve strong security without beneficial AI. AI's transformational capabilities have undoubtedly created new avenues for both malicious actors and also for cybersecurity professionals like me and my team. So as we think about AI, we see that AI and cybersecurity intersect in three ways, and we must address each one of these. First, AI presents new safety and security risks. We have to be honest about that. And so there are AI-enabled security threats. Second, though, AI has the potential to enhance cybersecurity by helping address the long-standing safety and security risks. And finally, we have to think about the security of the AI systems and models themselves, because we have to keep this very powerful technology very secure. So talking about the new AI security risks, there's been a number of papers this year, including from OpenAI, about how threat actors are using AI tools to improve their operation. As soon as any new technology is introduced, threat actors, cyber criminals, regular criminals will look for ways to exploit it. This is a powerful tool, so people try to use this powerful tool. So far, we're seeing that they're using it to really increase the sophistication and enhance their current operations across various domains, including cyber attacks, spreading propaganda. But the increasing accessibility of these AI tools empowers the actors regardless of their technical expertise. It allows them to be more sophisticated. It allows them to get some benefit, especially when they may not have the language skills, but now they're able to use a model to actually produce some of their language for them. And then that allows them to create, fake images or phishing campaigns or generation some malicious code. So far, we haven't seen anything which has been an entirely massive change, but we do have to recognize that these powerful tools will get more powerful over time, and if we're not careful, will be used by attackers badly. But we also think that this is an exciting era for us as well, because there is immense opportunity for us in cybersecurity, blocking attacks sooner and resolving the threats faster. It's a powerful force for good, and it offers the potential to reverse this defender's dilemma. The defender's dilemma is that the defender always has to be right, but the attacker only has to get through once. This allows us to have an army of defenders through the power of AI and to move the scale towards our favor. And AI has unique attributes, reasoning, learning, speed, and the scale I just mentioned that allow us to proactively identify, analyze, and respond to these threats with much greater effectiveness and efficiency. And also by the automation of these sort of tedious and repetitive tasks, it frees up the very important time and effort of our amazingly talented cybersecurity individuals to allow them to do the highest strategic and most valuable work and the sort of work that only humans can do. AI and humans will always be partners. So the last of the three is the security of the AI systems. Given the threats to these AI systems, we must manage the security threats to them. And to use this AI for cyber defense, we need to make sure that we are using secure systems so that we can rely on them for that. And so there is the safe adoption of this AI. And we cannot achieve the promise of artificial intelligence in general without a strong, trustworthy foundation of a trustworthy system. Effective risk management and clear industry standards are needed to build AI on this foundation. And we need systems that are secure by default, which has always been our security principle at Google, is that things need to be secure by default, and now AI needs to be secure by default. Our recommendations are captured in the AI Cyber Defense Initiative which we launched earlier this year. And we've published a white paper on this topic, Secure, Empower, and Advance. How can AI reverse the defender's dilemma. While we work collaboratively to ensure the safety and security of systems, we also capture the opportunity of AI to make cyberspace safer and more secure by addressing chronic challenges faced by defenders. AI has the ability to scale where humans can't. They can reason and learn from internet-scale data sets, and they can help us manage the complexity of the growing systems we have by being able to spot errors and threats that human can't miss. Our latest Gemini models have a context window of 1 million tokens, which is more than any human being can hold in their head at a time, but can think about all of that at once. If we work together, we can change these dynamics online, and we need to make sure that AI becomes this critical enabler. So, cybersecurity is often staffed with pessimistic people. So I wanted to make a case for optimism about the future and about security, which can be hard because we are faced with stories of hacks and bad stories all the time, but there is optimism here. AI gives us this opportunity to kind of upend the balance of power, or at least shift it more in our favor. Defenders already have the data advantage, meaning that we have more of the data about what's going on, and now our AI allows us to maximize that data by ingesting and acting upon it. It also acts as an equalizer. It can help close the skills gap. We know that not every organization is able to hire the potential army of cybersecurity defenders they need, but by having AI amplifying people, this allows us to build up our ranks. And it allows automated defenses at scale. We can integrate these defenses into widely used platforms, and then we can operate at high speed and at scale and with automation, because we need to be able to defend faster than any human can react. So in our approach to this, we are committed to harnessing AI responsibly to fortify our cybersecurity defenses. We believe that when it is developed and deployed ethically, that it can significantly enhance our cybersecurity collective ability to mitigate these threats. Everybody wants to talk about the threats from AI, but we need to shift our thinking to really concentrate on how we can use the AI to counter not just those threats, but the other threats we've always had. We've been using AI for a long time now, right? The spam filter in Gmail has been using machine learning and AI forever. We use it to find anomalies. We use AI to detect suspicious logins. Over the past 2 decades, we've invested heavily in machine learning to allow us to learn in real time from patterns of behavior and security risks across web pages, apps, emails, and we want to proactively find and block these threats. Gmail, for instance, blocks over 99.9% of malware and phishing and spam before it ever reaches the user's inbox. We want to make it easier for users to take the security burden, and we want to take as much of the burden of security away from those users and bring it into the hands of our engineers and our systems. So we are seeing the use of AI, though, by threat actors is a real thing, and our intelligence teams are seeing this adversarial use of AI in a few ways. To date, we've observed limited use of AI in intrusion operations, but from what we can observe, this is limited to leveraging these large language models to generate more realistic social engineering lures, including phishing emails and scam messages. In the future, we expect to see adversaries augmenting other parts of their operational toolchain, and that could lower the barrier to entry and then bring more people into this field of doing cyber attacks. We have observed a growing use of AI for information operations, and attackers can use clever generated AI prompts to generate fake news, generate fake phone calls, and produce some sort of deep fake photos and videos. For instance, in March 2023, a spammy influence network unsuccessfully leveraged several AI-generated images of political leaders. So In this front, though, what we have observed in information operations is while we are seeing the use of these campaigns by these actors, the campaigns where they use AI are no more successful yet. So these, again, this technology does not represent a sudden change in threat, but an evolving one. And we want to continue, and we will continue to publish more and to speak more about what we see. I think openness is incredibly important, and we must understand the real picture of how these threats. We should not minimize these threats, and we should not also hype these threats or make them seem bigger than they are in order to gain press or to gain attention. We need to be realistic and level-headed about how we talk about these threats. And on this slide, you can just see the scope of what we are dealing with and how, like, the number of threats of, 5 million user devices protected and just billions of users protected in Gmail. So, safety and security are among our top priorities, and we need to make sure they behave as intended. Ultimately, AI is software. It is a different sort of software. And there are differences about software here and about making AI more secure. But there's also a lot of similarities. All the investment we have done over decades and what we have learned about building secure software systems and how to think about that is directly feeding into our efforts to actually make AI more secure and make AI more responsible. So with the advent of generative AI, we really do believe that there are these use cases, these initial use cases, there will be more, where we can actually see great benefit. So we think that threat detection, vulnerability detection, vulnerability fixing, and incident response are cases where we have actually had some initial success so far. And the real world points is that what we've able to see is that these tools are not yet, have not yet been applied to every problem, but we have found them very effective for certain ones. And we do think that this will be a fundamental shift. We do not think the number of areas where they are useful will decrease, they will only increase. And we need to think about that as complexity increases. And so the areas that we focused on so far is threat detection. And so VirusTotal, which is part of Google, it uses AI to review potential malicious files. AI is able to crawl through millions of lines of code to painstakingly levels of detail, and it's able to reason about whether part of that code looks like it's used to break into systems. Last year, VirusTotal reported that AI excels in identifying malicious scripts, especially obfuscated ones, achieving up to 70% better detection rates compared to traditional methods alone. And this has led to 300% improved ability to identify files that exploit vulnerabilities. Our open source security team with vulnerability detection has been leveraging Gemini to improve code coverage of the open source projects to actually get ahead of the attackers and find the vulnerabilities sooner. It's able to generate test cases for the fuzzers, and it's able to kind of increase the generated test cases. This is difficult work for a human and can be quite tedious, but it's able to actually work through these problems and actually allow us to get this better coverage and find more vulnerabilities and get them fixed. And we've actually found that the Gemini is actually able to fix vulnerabilities as well. So when tools are found by our sanitizers or testers indicating that there is a vulnerability in the code, these LLMs are actually able to suggest fixes immediately, allowing us to quickly fix problems and to actually turn this cycle faster and to reduce the vulnerability. We think this success rate will continue to improve, both in code generation, but also code fixing and also code securing. And on the operations side, we've seen success so far with Google Gemini being able to help our incident responders analyze by rapidly searching over the vast amount of data in an incident, and they're able to summarize that down, kind of identify alerts, produce suggestions, and they're able to produce the incident summaries with a higher turnaround time and with less effort. Through this, our teams are seeing a 51% time savings for certain tasks, and this allows us to, again, run more efficient teams, faster teams, and allow us to keep up with the attackers. And I've talked about a number of like individual things here, and each of those are individually good, but you can see where the future is going, that we are going to knit these things together to be transformative. AI can like usher in a fundamental paradigm shift, which looks at the root cause of cyber insecurity. We can use AI to understand the risks, fix the risks, and see the overall picture in a way, and to build systems that are actually able to be self-healing and to actually take actions and sort of defend themselves because they have this AI boundary behind them. So I want to talk about three big initiatives before I finish today. Our Secure AI Framework, our Coalition for Secure AI, and the AI Cyber Defense Initiative. So here's where our Secure AI Framework comes in. This is a framework that we have built to allow people to think about securing AI and to actually evolve the risk management strategies around it. We've launched this framework for business and governments to understand and manage these risks, and it's a conceptual framework that we've released for securing these systems. It is inspired by the security best practices we've had in other fields, but then it's incorporated our understanding of security trends specific to AI systems, such as the threat of stealing the model, or data poisoning of training data, or injecting malicious inputs, very specific threats to the nature of these, but we are expanding that out so our understanding and research can be used to shape others. And just recently, as part of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we launched a new secure AI framework risk assessment tool that actually allows people to go and fill out a questionnaire and to get a tailored checklist to allow them to do some guidance. So not everyone has to work this out from first principles. We provide the guidance and how to think about this problem for your practitioners. But we can't do this alone. This is not only the Google show, and Google are certainly not the only player here. So we are building a coalition of partners to drive adoption of strong security principles. And as you can see on the list of founding members, it really does have the who's who of the AI world at present. And we wanted to collaborate to establish this forum and the broader ecosystem. It aims to advance security research, promote the development of standards for AI systems, and really prepare defenders for a changing landscape. It also, collaborate with other organizations such as the Frontier Model Forum, Partnerships on AI, the Open Source Foundation. We all have so many areas. There are places where we compete here, but we have so many common interests in making sure that AI is secure, then to advance responsible AI, that it is so important that we work together across industry and across governments. And we also, through our AI cybersecurity initiative, we're continuing our investment in AI-ready infrastructure, releasing new tools for defenders, and launching new research and AI security training. These commitments are designed to help keep AI secure and empower and advance our collective digital future. We need to make them secure. We need to empower by giving the choices we make today, and we need to advance the research. And to support this effort, we announced $2 million in research grants and strategic partnerships that allow us to strengthen cybersecurity initiatives using AI, including enhancing code verification and improving understanding of how AI can be used for cyber offense to help deal with cyber offense. And I also want to say a little bit about education. Education is critically important, and we try to make cybersecurity more relatable. So we've launched the cybersecurity certificate in Japanese, and we provided 20,000 scholarships through the Japan Reskilling Consortium. And this is a certificate designed and taught by Google cybersecurity experts, including people from my team, and prepares learners for entry-level jobs in cybersecurity in 6 months. And additionally, Google.org, our philanthropic arm, has provided $15 million to the Asia Foundation to launch the APAC Cybersecurity Fund. And that'll bolster the capabilities of 300,000 underserved micro and small businesses, nonprofits, and social enterprises across 13 locations in Asia. And here in Japan, the Asia Foundation is working closely with the Japan Cybercrime Control Center. And we're producing a number of reports from this area. And we believe we have an inherent responsibility to ensure that the billions of people we protect every day are safe. The internet requires cooperation from us all, and that's why I'm excited to be here with you today and proud to see the progress of Google's Cybersecurity Center of Excellence in Tokyo, which is just at the start of a strong dialogue with stakeholders from industry, academia, and government. And last but not least, this week we're hosting 2 events focused on raising the cybersecurity bar in Japan. On Thursday, we're bringing together cybersecurity and privacy subject matter experts with several Japanese startups for a day of technical talks and one-on-one meetings. And then on Friday, we are hosting a cybersecurity research symposium in Tokyo for graduate students, private industry, and academic researchers working in the field. This provides a platform to learn about the latest advances and challenges in research for AI and cybersecurity, and to meet with academics as well as researchers at Google. We'll also announce the recipients of our inaugural Cybersecurity Center of Excellence research grantees, which provides funding for research into cutting-edge technologies such as AI-powered security and cryptography. So in conclusion, I want to leave you with these 3 priorities. We need to secure AI from the ground up. We need to empower the defenders over the attackers and see AI as a tool for defenders. And we need to advance the partnerships, and especially the research partnerships, that allow us to work together to counter these threats. And we are a committed partner here, and we look forward to partnering more in the future. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much for having me today. And that concludes my talk.